Yeah, buddy. Let's give him a pull. 2026 Porsche 911 GT3. That's the 992.2 generation, and we have it paired with a 6-speed manual transmission, also in a gorgeous spec with this oak green, which used to be a PTS. Now it's just one of the standard upgraded colors, and it definitely looks fantastic. We're of course powered by the 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6, making 502 horsepower at 8,400 RPM, 331 pound-feet of torque at 6,100 RPM with a 9,000 RPM redline. Now, between the 992.1 and the 992.2 that we have here today, due to emissions regulations, the torque was actually reduced by 15 pound-feet, and they gave it more aggressive cams to make up, that difference to give it the same power. You can, of course, get this with either a 6-speed manual or 7-speed PDK, and in both cases, you have 8% shorter gearing. That's in part due to the reduced torque and the torque band shifting up in the rev range, so trying to keep that RPM band accordingly in a more optimal zone. And who knows, maybe Porsche also listened to the multiple complaints from various owners and reviewers about the gearing just being too long to fully enjoy the car. We're weighing it at 3,126 pounds here with the manual. That saves you about 40 pounds versus the PDK. We have a 39/61 front to rear weight distribution. Again, with the 992 generation GT3, we finally get double wishbone in the front for the first time. We still have multi-link in the rear. In terms of wheels, these come standard with 20-inch in the front, 21-inch in the rear, with 255 section width front and 315 in the rear. And we are on PS4S rubber. Rear axle steer still comes standard. We have the track focus underbody aero with the GT3. MSRP is $225,000. That's $55,000 more sticker price than the 992.1. I think Porsche was seeing all these crazy ADMs and be like, hey, we should get in on this. Even now with the 225, you're still going to have to pay an ADM, which is definitely outpacing inflation in terms of the price increases here. In terms of the options, we have the Weissach package, front axle lift, chrono package, 18-way seats, and with all the options, this is now $300K sticker price. Not a cheap car by any means. And getting into the interior, you'll note that one of the few cars optioned with the Weissach, but also with sofas, the 18-way adjustable rather than the carbon buckets that you are more used to seeing. The owner, Avi, who is an absolute legend, enjoys cars like a proper car enthusiast, but he doesn't enjoy tracking as much, so I think getting the sofas makes sense. Oh, very nice. The carbon fiber handle here feels excellent. With the 992.2, we have a full digital dash. We lost that analog tack in the 992.1 that honestly I actually really liked. But of course, Porsche interiors, you know what this is. Carbon fiber, Alcantara, really nice solidity and feel and touch points. And even the carbon fiber here. It's a beautiful place to be, excellent build quality. I still personally prefer an analog tack. I think the 992.1 had that better. And we can select normal, sport, and track. We'll start off in normal, and we can see the different settings change. The PASM is in the sport setting rather than track. We're going to disable start stop, although that's not going to really become relevant in a second. And we're going to enable the Porsche Sport Exhaust. Keep auto blip disabled because I like to rev match my own downshifts. Okay. God, 9,000 RPM never gets old. God, I love modern Porsche inputs. The best inputs I've ever experienced would be 90s Hondas, and the modern Porsche GT cars, just absolutely phenomenal. The heel toe has no learning curve. Nice solidity to the brake pedal. Not a lot of travel, but very solid, high resolution. Makes it actually much easier to heel toe without it being jerky. And now let's actually switch this up to sport mode. Okay, we're gonna try, let's see what the auto blip is like. Fourth, I mean, faultless auto rev match, but we're gonna keep that disabled. Wow, incredibly sharp front end. that double wishbone and how they set this up. Even though it's a rear engine, this front end is so sharp and precise. Unlike the 997s, you know, each generation they make it feel a little bit more balanced, a little bit more neutral. You don't have the same issue where you have to really manage the front end and exercise patience before you get on the throttle mid-corner and at a corner exit. You don't get that lightening up, but the front end is so pinpoint precise, surgical even. And even though it's E-Pass, you have feel and feedback. Who would have thought one of the best E-Pass that you're gonna find on any modern car? Pretty fast steering ratio, but the way Porsche calibrates these, even with a fast steering ratio, it's not darty. Now, can I feel the horsepower and torque difference versus the 992.1? Honestly, no. I haven't driven a 992.1 in a while, and even if I were driving them back-to-back, it's gonna be very, very subtle. The 8% shorter gearing is nice, but it's still pretty long gearing, you know what I mean? Although it is definitely an improvement, I'll give them that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Delicious, absolutely delicious. You know, I just drove that 675 LT and I love that car. You know, more power, lighter than this, and it's, you know, it's a different animal. Although that market value is 200 to 250K, and this one being bought at 300K, that has a higher performance ceiling. Yeah, buddy, let's give him a pull. And the inputs in these Porsches, again, are so good. The solidity to the brakes, the throttle response is so natural and precise. You have twin turbo in a McLaren. Porsche's like, you know what, we're gonna give you the naturally aspirated flat six with that beautiful howl. I still think it sounds great. Some people say it sounds a bit distant or muted. It doesn't have that auditory complexity and layered sound of something like a GT4 RS, but the GT4 RS is also deafening, and you have limitations there with strut suspension front and rear. I'll take the volume of this, please. But the sound complexity of the GT4 RS, I still think it sounds absolutely glorious. Oh my God, just like ergonomics and inputs are so important in a car, and when a manufacturer spends extra time and attention, it makes everything else just fall to the background, and it's now a one-to-one connection where you don't have to think about, oh, how much do I need to turn? How much do I need to brake? I need to be mindful of touchy brakes or, you know, laggy throttle response. It just does what you ask it to do. It is telepathic in that way. And when you have the modern Porsche, you know, chassis balance and tuning, it's just so confidence inspiring. You have good rigidity. Is it a carbon tub from McLaren? No, but still really good rigidity. You have the suspension doing most of the work. Very little chassis flex with good communication, and even with these sofas, they're not carbon buckets, but I'm still able to feel what's happening through the chassis. Glorious car. I want to now try this out in track. Definitely a bit too, you can feel a notable difference, not quite as big as the PCC in McLaren's. That hydraulic link system has a much larger magnitude shift from their softer to medium to stiffer settings. But here, for this road, we're gonna keep it in sport rather than track. Gonna have that nose lift here as well. Good option to have. Not need more performance than this. This is now at the upper limit of what you can reasonably enjoy on the street. Good Lord. Now, looking at the Porsche generations of GT3, I actually think that the 997.2 GT3 RS, the 3.8 and the 4.0, which you can find linked below, have a review of those. Actually a three-way comparison across different 997 GT3s. I think that is actually the best driving experience. And what I mean by that is if you teleported me to a canyon road and just put me into the car, that is actually the most communicative, most race car, most visceral and special experience. An incredible engine, that metallic, motorsport inspired sound, proper Metzger engine, incredible. The 991.2 I think finds a really nice balance point where is it as raw, visceral, or race car? No, but it's now much more livable. I think the styling there is also much better. The interior is far more modern. The fit and finish NVH, it's still enjoyable to drive and not overly insulated while, still being more daily drivable. And not as punishing driving to and from your canyon road. The 992 now continues that evolution where you further reduce the level of communication and visceralness compared to the 991. And I don't know, I actually think the 991.2, even though it has the inferior strut suspension in the front, which especially when you start pushing it harder, you are going to notice, and you feel a little bit more of that rear engine, not quite as much as the 997. Each generation, again, they dial it out more and more. I think this is the most competent, the most technically impressive of the various 911 GT3s. But I'm not sure it's the one I'd buy. And again, nicer to have the shorter gearing, beautiful inputs. I don't really love a digital tach, honestly. I want analog. And I love the sharpness, I love the communication, I love the inputs, the ergonomics, the interior. But it's just a little bit less visceral and raw and special versus a 991.2 GT3 and a larger step from the 997.2 GT3. Again, is this better in just about every way? Yes. But at this price point, $300K, it's not just about a car being as technically proficient and impressive as possible. It's about the emotional response you get. And don't get me wrong, this is an excellent, phenomenal car that is, yes, you have the emotional connection and this excitement, etc., to the vehicle. But what I would say is that at $300K, can I get actually a little bit more emotional experience at $200K with a 991.2 GT3 on the used market, as an example. I also think the 991.2 GT3 looks a lot better than the 992.1 or the 992.2. I think the little nostrils right here are just a little bit polarizing, in my opinion. So overall, is it a big step up from the 992.1? No, not really. I'd have to drive the 992.1 and the 992.2 back to back, drive them on a road I'm more comfortable with, drive them harder, and then I could tell you what the true differences are. Now, based on memory, and we're really splitting hair here, I'd say that the 992.2 is a little bit more compliant than the 992.1s that I've driven. And also when it comes to the sound, there's a little bit more of that high-pitched shriek when you get this closer to redline, again, versus the 992.1. But they're obviously much more similar than different. The gearing being slightly shorter is a nice, notable improvement. But apart from that, and I know they made some suspension tweaks and such, driving it a year later on a different road, I can't quite comment on that. While again, I love this car, and I think if you are in the market for a 911 GT3, you can't go wrong with a 992.2 GT3. For myself, if I had the budget, I might actually go a 991.2 GT3, but that's just based on my values and my priorities. My friends, which one would you pick between those two? Go check out my review of a 991.2 GT3 right up here. Big shout out to the owner, Ubby, for letting me review his GT3. And if you want your car reviewed, visit us on jubbalandcars.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one. I do at least like that they gave us the little twisty thing still, because the 992.2 GTS I drove yesterday was just a push button, which I did not like. So thank you for that, Porsche.